Monster and Princess Diaries, Episode 2, A Hairy Spidery Situation. Sunlight crept through the dusty windows of the monster's castle, casting long shadows across his bedroom floor. The monster stretched his massive arms and yawned, revealing rows of not-so-frightening teeth. As he blinked away the last remnants of sleep, something caught his eye. A silvery thread glinting in the morning light. There, in the corner of his ceiling, was a spider web. The monster's eyes widened. His whole body tensed. No, 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 he mumbled, backing away until he bumped into his wardrobe.
What's all the fuss about?
A familiar voice chirped. The monster spun around to find the princess, the very same one he had kidnapped last week, perched on his windowsill, her legs swinging carelessly over the edge. You! The monster pointed a trembling finger at her. But you escaped! The princess grinned, revealing a missing front bottom tooth.
I did, and it was the most fun I have in ages. That's why I came back. I figured we can do it again.
She hopped down from the window, her sparkly shoes clicking against the stone floor. The monster tried to look menacing, but his eyes kept darting to the spider web.
Are you afraid of that spider?
The princess asked, following his gaze. What? No, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm just allergic to... The monster fumbled with the words.
Arachnophobia?
The princess offered. Yeah, that thing you said. The monster nodded vigorously. The princess tapped her chin thoughtfully.
I know someone who could help, but I'm too young to drive a dragon. Would you give me a ride? Before the monster could protest, he found himself leading the princess to his dragon's perch. The great beast unfurled its wings, and soon they were soaring through the curtain of snakes that concealed the castle's entrance. Head toward the misty mountains, the
princess directed, pointing east. The monster gripped the reins tighter as they approached a dark, foggy swamp.
The Spiderlands,
the princess whispered dramatically, but just quietly enough so that the monster couldn't hear her. They landed on what appeared to be solid ground, but the monster nearly fainted when he realized they were standing on the backs of dormant giant spiders. Their bodies were covered in thick, bristly hair that swayed gently in the swamp's murky breeze.
Keep very quiet,
the princess whispered, tiptoeing forward. In the heart of the swamp, they discovered a glowing lotus leaf. Inside, curled up like a cat, was a chubby fairy. She was messily devouring something that looked like a cross between pudding and stew, with mysterious lumps floating in it. Green juice dribbled down her chin as she shoveled another spoonful into her mouth.
Easel fairy!
The princess called out in a musical language the monster couldn't understand. The fairy's eyes fluttered open, and she exchanged rapid-fire words with the princess, still chewing her peculiar meal. As they made their way back to the dragon, the easel fairy let out an enormous burp that echoed through the swamp. The hairy spiders beneath their feet began to stir.
Run!
The princess shouted. They scrambled onto the dragon's back as giant spiders rose all around them, their bristly legs creating a forest of horror. The dragon took off just in time as the first spider lunged at them. But they weren't safe yet. The spiders began climbing on top of each other, forming a wobbling tower. The highest spider shot a spray of tiny fuzzy spiders towards them. The monster screamed as dozens of little hairy arachnids landed on the dragon's scales.
The easel fairy, on the other hand, simply smiled, scooped up the spiders, and popped them into her mouth like popcorn. She chewed with obvious satisfaction and swallowed them whole. The monster's eyes rolled back, and everything went black. When he came to, he was back in his bedroom. The princess was playing with some sticky greenish slime she'd collected from the spider swamp, stretching it between her fingers and giggling as it made squelching noises. The easel fairy was fooling around with one of his guardian snakes.
Good news!
The princess announced.
Your castle is now spider-free. Bad news, you might get a lot of other bugs now. But that's a problem for another day.
The monster looked at the princess, considering whether to try kidnapping her again. But something had changed. Instead, he heard himself say, "Would you like a ride home?" The princess beamed.
Yes, please.
She giggled.
But I wonder what everyone will say when they see you flying into the kingdom.
And so began the next chapter in their strange friendship. But that's a story for another time. Coming soon in episode 3, The Monster and Princess Diaries, Kingdom of Chaos.